a lot of you have said, what I'm doing, it's not really good, and there's all these bad problems.
Well,
and
did
anyone ever say that? Does
anymore.
anyone here feel that what they're doing right now is derailing them from being with the person they're supposed to be with in the end, and the life that they're supposed to end up with?
No.
Does
No, I'm
anyone
not saying
feel
in the
like
end.
that?
I'm
No.
not saying in the end.
'Cause
I'm
I
saying
don't.
right now. So I think at least some of you.
But
would.
none of us are
if
with
we're not
anyone-
looking for a long-term relationship right now, how does that even make sense?
We don't want that. We're not looking for that. All of us are literally saying the same thing.
You're not looking for it. Though one of you just said that, look, it takes a while to have a relationship, and maybe it might take a couple of years of dating, and then you get engaged. And so these things don't happen overnight. And it reminds me of people who say, hey, man, why can't I just have like a deathbed confession? I live it up, man. I go to Vegas. I do all sorts of crazy stuff. And on my deathbed, which I may or may not get, I'll just convert, and then I go to heaven. That'll be really great, right? And look, maybe. But really what happens is people tend to just keep going down the roads that they're on, and the habits that they cultivate become the habits that define their lives, whether it's virtue or vice. And I just think if you believe you're going to keep doing this, and then one day at 34 and a half, you're going to wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to do something totally different now and get Mr. Right, who's not addicted to porn, and get 2 kids and millions of dollars, I just think that's very, very unlikely. And you'll be
If you
disappointed.
believe in porn addiction.
I think it's more likely.
You don't believe in porn addiction?
We talked
Nicolette,
about this
tell us.
earlier. I
Tell
said
us
I don't
more.
believe in porn addiction.
Nicolette.
I think it's more likely that all of us are gonna find like some hot rich guy to marry and take care of us than to like be single for the rest of our lives. Because we've set those standards for ourselves, so we're not gonna accept like anything less.
Is that funny? I mean, like, look at the panel. Like,
We're not gonna die alone. Look at us, we're hot.
I think
It's the longest audio clip.
Yeah,
I know, it's so
bro.
long.
Amazing.
I think in reference to what you kind of pointed out, I don't know who it was. It was one of you two that said like finding a relationship and developing a real one takes a year. I completely agree.
Oh, I did.
It was
I
you.
did.
And I agree. I completely agree. And I think it shines fault onto your own statement of just like you have to leave it immediately and stop so that you can go find the Mr. Right.
Yeah,
If
how do you start?
You don't have
Be
to
friends.
stop. You can become friends. You can.
So I have a question for you.
Light relationship that develops into, not to cut you, and that's how it kind of.
I believe in you, Nicolette.
No, look,
It's gonna happen.
I believe in
I
you.
think you could all do it. What I'm just saying is, it seems likely to me that
Grid
the kind
One
of guys...
Motorsports donated $200. What you feel has nothing to do with how a man you will want is going to feel about you and your past choice. And the new younger hot girls without a history of being naked online will win.
Grid One Motorsports, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Michael, you were about to say something.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Grid One Motorsports makes a fair enough point. But the other thing is, people change, and your past doesn't necessarily have to define you. But in order for that to happen, it does have to be your past. And so, I think that one would be fooling oneself if you were to say that the kind of guy that I could start dating while doing anything pornographic is just as good and just as normal and conducive to my happiness as a guy that I would meet not doing pornography. I just think the quality is,
Do you guys
that's
agree?
your opinion.
No,
I
but
disagree.
if
got-
you've done
feel like
pornography,
I have-
It is my
in the
opinion.
past,
That's true.
then what does it
Yeah.
matter? You've done pornography, whether you're doing it now or in the past. You've done pornography, so like I don't get
No,
it.
because people change, and we respect that people change. But I do think it's sort of like if you're trying to find a boyfriend while doing pornography, the odds are good, but the goods are odd. You're gonna end up with a kind of a weirdo guy, and you don't deserve. You should have better guys. You should have guys who will
Well,
give you a
good
good
that
life
none
and
of
a
us
good
are
family.
looking.
Yeah.
So
None
what?
of us
It's
are
so
looking.
what?
You're gonna end up with a weirdo guy. Like, that's not true.
If you
That's
no,
just,
if you
like,
date,
not
if
true.
I think the odds of you ending up with like a weirdo, not the kind of guy you'd actually want to be married to, if you start dating him and marry him while you're doing pornography,
I disagree.
is pretty high.
I think the man if I started dating someone while I'm doing what I'm doing, then they actually accept me for me and all of me and my choices. And
Wait,
my
They do accept certain things that maybe you don't want them to accept 10 years down the line.
I have a question for you. You said you've been romantically involved with a couple NFL players and a couple NBA players, like 5 total.
Yeah, some of them were like really casual, but not like relationship.
So these men, who I assume are in exceptional physical shape, are very high status given the nature of their profession, I assume are well off financially. Obviously, not all NFL players are compensated the same, but why didn't it work with any of them?
Because I didn't want to take anything seriously.
You didn't? You're telling me you didn't want to pursue a long-term romantic relationship with like a less than, I assume these men are in terms of, if we're looking at their status or their wealth or, top 1% men.
Sure.
Not good enough for you.
I never said that.
Well, I mean,
I said some were casual. One relationship was like a year relationship, and we just didn't see eye to eye, and there were third-party situations that affected that relationship. So we mutually decided, we're like, probably not best.
And let it be known that like NFL
and
NBA players are like literally the scum on the bottom.
Yeah, let's let that be known. They're not the top 1%. They're not the top 1%
MLB is a different
anymore.
story, but
Major League Baseball.
Yes.
Where's the NHL guys? What do you think about table?
I would love
table
to meet a
tennis?
good hockey guy.
What's it called?
Ping pong?
Like,
You should go with
where are
the
the
ping pong
hockey
guy.
guys at?
Do you know any?
I can
I know
talk
what
to me
you're
after the
saying.
show. I'll get you a link.
But none of the like
Rugby?
professional.
Any rugby players?
Or
Rugby?
Like I said,
Okay.
like I was only
I could get down
around.
with
I was
a soccer
around
player.
athletes, so that was just like who I was around.
Badminton? Have you considered badminton? I think you should try pro badminton.
That's really
Why
good
can I not
option.
pronounce that
Some
word?
of those guys make hundreds of dollars a
Badminton?
year.
Is that
Hundreds
it?
of dollars
They
a
do,
year.
yeah.
Huge. Okay, so wait. Will you guys at least acknowledge that by virtue of doing the kind of work you do, it doesn't, you're not going to be changed. How do I properly word this? I don't think it's going to be the case that you'll never find anybody. I don't think that's what we're arguing. But will you at least acknowledge that it is going to close the door for a substantial portion of men that you have
That
been
we
involved?
don't want either.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Well, you don't want them because they don't want you. But I suspect
No.
if you were to look at these men's character, I'm sure you could find them physically attractive. They could meet all your metrics except that they wouldn't want to date you based on your past profession.
Are you saying past profession or if they're currently doing it?
Either.
Both.
Does
Well, I don't know,
anyone
those are
really
different
want to be
questions.
with someone who
Who
doesn't
doesn't
want
accept
them
that?
though?
Like that's what I said from the
Yeah.
beginning. It's different dating
Well, they
pools.
would
guys
have
that
wanted
don't want to
you-
date a sex worker. Obviously, I'm not
But-
going to be like, okay, I want you. Like,
But you at least acknowledge that it does close the door to, I can't attribute to what percentage of men it would be, but I think a fairly decent percentage of men, simply by virtue of the work you've done or did, may not want to date you.
Yes, we
Yeah.
yeah,
I
but
could agree
you
with
worded
that,
that
but
differently last
they're
time.
not meant for me
You're
anyways.
saying men that have all the characteristics that I would want. It's because they don't want me. No, I don't want them.
Because
Because
you
they
don't want them because they don't want
to
you.
date a sex worker, and they're
Because
not okay with that. That's already like a.
The morals
No.
don't align as
Yeah.
is. That's why. Therefore, why even have the interest into
But
somebody?
do you really think it's a number one prerequisite for your future husband and the father of your children that they have to be really into porn? You don't
No,
think
not that
Of
they
course
really
not.
have to be
Doesn't
into porn,
have
but
to
they
be
have to
into
accept the
porn.
fact that I did porn, and if I'm still doing
look,
porn.
but those are different things. Accepting the fact that you did something in your past that perhaps you're not super proud of, but whatever. Versus
Who said
But
that?
I'm proud of
Who
like
said that?
you
Versus
just
Who said they weren't
active
proud of it?
self-
Nobody.
right, but if you're like really into it and maybe still doing it, then that's going to attract the kind of guy who's just really into porn. And I don't think that is the top criterion. You say, I want my future husband, the father of my children, to be tall, dark, handsome, rich, and super into porn. You really think that?
They don't have
No
to
one
be.
said
You're
that.
talking
Physical
super
qualities.
extremes here.
I
Nobody
look
said.
for more like
Well, super into
personality.
porn is a metaphysical quality.
I look for more like personality. I can
I
settle
do
for a
too.
medium ugly guy, and his personality is like a freaking 2000. So it's
Sure.
like, at the end of the day, it's not even about like what he has. It's if I get along with him.
Sure.
And
Say
I
stocky,
could-
pale, mid, not that rich, but he has to be super into porn.
But you're taking
No,
things
I'm
to a
not-
super
I'm-
extreme.
why would-
Super into.
like-
He doesn't have to be super into porn. He just has to be accepting of the fact that I
I
was.
think
took
if,
it
if
in.
one dates, certainly if one marries someone whose profession is to be a porn actress, that guy is really into porn. That guy is the most into porn you can possibly be.